I've got 150 cops searching 400 homes in 3 states, not to mention the casinos.
Go get him. You're authorized for legal force. No warrants required.
You draw your gun, you're a dead man.
It looks to me like you've been living on the streets, and you do not want to die out there.
What you're doing is reacting to a traumatic experience over and over and over in your mind, just like millions of humans.
My pa hated me. Now I hate you.
No. Is that who you think you are?
What do you want me to say?
I don't want you to say anything.
Who will you choose?
Kelly! Hey!
Who will you save?
If you're in trouble, I can help.
How are you gonna make your point if you're dead?
You can't prove I killed anybody.
Little one, you have no idea what I have to do.
Hello, I'm Donna Lee Heising, and today we're here with the multi-talented actor and filmmaker Ron Becks.
Hello. Hi.
Well, let's start at the beginning. I want to ask about the Buffalo Soldiers, but let's talk about where you grew up.
I grew up in the Bronx. I was born in Manhattan Hospital, and then I grew up around the zoo. Don't make any comments about the zoo part. I can see it already in your face. Yeah, so I grew up around the Bronx Zoo area, and came from a sort of a showbiz family, mostly music singers and that type of thing. In fact, one of my cousins is a rap artist by the name of Sister Souljah. Now, I lived overseas for many years, so I didn't even know she was a rap star. And I gave her her first acting part. We worked for Metropolitan Hospital, and we were doing theater shows for family planning unit, if you can follow that. But she was only a kid then. She was about 10 years old. And when I came back to America after living overseas for such a long time, I'd heard about Sister Souljah, and I heard about her on the news because she did something with Bill Clinton. I don't know what happened, but if you follow politics, you will still hear today, after all these years, they'll say that was a Sister Souljah moment. And it had something to do with Bill Clinton and her, and I don't know what it was. And I thought, Sister Souljah, and then my cousin said, that's Lisa. I said, you're kidding. So there she
You had a
was.
lot of musicians in your family
Yes.
then, because I know that you sing too.
I do, yeah.
Okay, well, I know you went to Queens College. Were you interested in show business before that?
I was just got out of high school, just barely made it. And a friend of mine said, you want to go to university if you're going to be in acting? I said, I just got out of high school. What do you mean? College? Give me a break. And I was, this was in the 70s, and I'm making $300 a week working for the city. And I said, well, if I quit my job, he said, don't worry, they'll give you a stipend in college. And I said, well, how much is that? They said, $30 a week. Stupid me, leave my job, go to college for 2 years, and all I did was produce shows. And that's how I learned the business. I learned, as an actor, I realized you're always going to be in between jobs. You better learn how to put asses on the seat, in the case of theater, advertising, directing, writing, and that's how I honed all those skills during that years.
Well, you've done so many things, and you've studied with such famous people who also helped you with the producing. Guy, what should I ask you about first? Okay, you started acting on stage first, right?
I started as a professional in show business at 3 years old. And I was singing at the time for weddings. And I was dressed in a cowboy suit with 6 guns on my hips. And I was singing, I'm an old cowhand. And that was my entrance into the business. And I was getting paid for it. At 5 years old, and then I did some more little plays, not big things. And then I was up for Raised in the Sun on Broadway when I was 10. Didn't get the part because I injured myself. You always listen to your mom. When she says don't go to the park, don't go to the park. So I went to the park, injured myself, and I was down to 1 or 2. That would have changed my whole life had I done that play with Portier on Broadway at 10 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't happen. Anyway, lived a normal childhood, and then I didn't get back into acting until I went to college. what I just mentioned. And from college on till now, I've been doing it.
Okay, well, you mentioned living overseas for a while. Where did you go?
I went to Australia, of all places. There's some crazy people over there. They're fun, but they're nuts. They're not well at all. But I had I had a good time and did movies over there and did everything I'm doing now. In fact, while I was there, I toured with the Stylistics, the singing group, the R&B group. I was their opening act.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was cool. And then in theater, I toured with Lauren Bacall. You know, we toured the entire country for about 6 months. Then I did my own movies and became a public speaker and on and on and on.
Well, I read a story that you taught yourself to sing.
Yeah. As I said, I came from a singing family. And so they were all pretty good singers. They were doing nightclubs and making records and so on. And there was me in the choir at 5 or 6 years old singing in the choir. You don't know you can't sing if you're 5. But I couldn't sing when I was 20. And I didn't know I couldn't sing until I went to a family reunion and I heard them laughing, my aunts laughing in the next room. And you hear Ron sing? He can't sing at all. He's got a band. Oh, my God. So I didn't know I couldn't sing. Then I had a friend who was a real singer. And we used to wait for the subway, and she would just hum a song, and she was such pleasant to listen to. She never told me I couldn't sing. She just tried me along. She said, Ron, you know, you could take a few lessons. That would help. Lessons? You think I need lessons? Yeah, well, yeah, it would help you a little bit. I thought, oh, okay. I lucked up with her and found the voice teacher of all voice teachers. I swear to God, in 10 lessons, she had me singing arias. From a guy who couldn't carry a tune if it had a handle on it to an aria.
Oh,
I swear to God. Ma pari tutto amor il mio sguardo l'incontro. To this day, I remember that.
Oh, that's beautiful. So do you still sing?
I haven't.
Busy making movies.
Yeah, I haven't since I came back to the States and making movies, but I love singing, and I want to do the soundtrack to our next movie. So you heard it first here. We're going to do a movie together.
Okay. Oh, I can't wait. Okay, so I know. God, here I am jumping around, but
That's fine.
I know that you have a course on screenwriting. So how did you teach yourself how to write scripts?
Well, that's another story because nobody would make my movies. So while I was in Australia, I was making these movies, and at the time, the Australian film industry was really going great guns.
Is that why you went over there?
Well, yeah, and they were giving money to people to make movies, and so I was known over there. And I went to the government and said gave them some scripts and so on, and they kept turning me down. And to appease me, they said, well, you know, we won't do any of your movies, but we'll let you be a screenwriting editor. And we'll pay you a couple of $1,000 to look at other people's screenplays and tell us what you think.
Oh.
And that's how I learned to write. Because I wanted to do movies, and I couldn't find a movie that suited the type of things I wanted to say. And so I took scripts that I had and rewrote them, and that's how I learned, by rewriting other people's scripts.
Oh, okay.
And so now at this point, I'm on YouTube, and I teach people for free how to write movie scripts. I give them 15 short lessons.
Yeah, I saw that.
you
That's
did?
really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're doing it for free?
Well, the information is on YouTube for free.
Oh, it's great.
And so you'll learn the basics from what I gave you for free. And then if you want me to help you or rewrite it or write it with you or for you, then, of course, you'll have to compensate me.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, and what's your YouTube site under?
It's if you punch in Ron Becks, how to write a movie script, you'll find me.
And it's on his Facebook page, too.
Thank you.
Okay, so what was the first film that you made?
Well, the first extra part I made was called, it was with Harry Belafonte and Ed Begley and Robert Ryan. That's when I was 10. It was an extra thing. The name will come to me in a minute. And years later, I met Mr. Belafonte in Australia, of all places, and he was doing a singing show there, and I went backstage. It was easier for me to get backstage because they knew me, and it wasn't like here in America, you can't get to see anybody, but I just walked back there. And as I'm walking up to Mr. Belafonte, I felt this charisma from this guy, like 80 feet away. He had this ring of power around him. It was just amazing. And so he was having a conversation with one person. I walked up to him, and I stood there until they finished. And he looked at me, and I said, Mr. Belafonte, you wouldn't know me. I did an extra part in a movie that you were in many years ago. And he said, well, what movie was that? And I told him the name. And he looked at me and said, I'm glad you survived it. What a guy, man. He's just a crazy guy. So that was my first movie, if you would. The first movie I made after that, my own projects, was many years later in Australia, and that was called Come and Get It.
Well, you decided to make your own movies, though, so you wouldn't be one of those actors that sit around, right?
Exactly. I learned a long time ago, if you're an actor, you're sitting by the phone waiting for somebody to give you a job. That's not the way to do it. You have to learn every part of the business that you can. And that's the only thing that's going to keep you going until you get where you want to go. You know, because I can write, direct, produce, act, and sing. What I really want to do, nothing else, I would just want to act. Just get $20 million and go home. Do I really want to go through all the headaches of directing and this? You know, no, I don't. Acting is my first love, so that's what I would like to do. Okay. When I first came back to America in the 90s, I'm reading in the trade papers or something. A guy wrote that he could make a feature film for like $900. Now, I had just finished my first films in Australia, and even there you can't make a movie for $900. Anyway, I called this lunatic, and he said, yeah, I can do that, and we can do this, that, and the other. And I said, okay. And so we did. We made this movie here. It's called The First Testament, CIA Vengeance. Okay? And so the director of this introduced me to Gregory. And Gregory was nice enough to help us with his offices, and he sort of co-produced it, and that's how I met him. And Gregory said to me then, you know what? We have to work together again. I'm going to do something with you. You got that old-fashioned kind of thing when you do your movies, you know. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. And it took 10 years until we got together to make the movie that's behind us. In the meantime, that was me starring in the movie. But he had put me in another one of his movies, which was Mad Cowgirl. So he calls me up. I haven't heard from the guy in years. And he calls me up out of the blue. And he says, listen, I got a part for you. I want you to be in this movie called Mad Cowgirl. The title already told me I shouldn't do it. But what the hell, you know, the guys. Maybe we can get back together and do something real. So I said, okay, you know, when do you want to shoot this and so on? He said, in a couple of days. A couple of days, all right. So I don't know the script. I don't know the character. And I said, send me the script. He said, well, we don't have a script exactly. I said, you don't have a script? Okay. Well, what's the deal, Greg? What do you want me to do? He said, well, you're going to be a minister, and we need to do something biblical. Give a speech like on church. Biblical? What does that mean, Greg? What do you want me to do? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, get over to L.A. So I go to L.A. We get there. Of course, there's no script. So I made up the speech on the fly. Then he tells me I'm a bad preacher, and I seduced this girl who eats meat, and gets diseased, and she's mad because of the stuff she's eating, and she kills people. Okay. I said, okay. And you're one of the people she kills, because you're not a good guy. Okay, Greg, you're going to kill me. When are we doing this? Oh, we're going to do that tomorrow. Okay. We're going to do it at night, so get some sleep. All right, so I get to the set. Okay, Greg, so how am I going to get killed? We haven't figured it out yet. Okay, Greg, is she going to hang me? Is she going to run me over with a car? Is she going to shoot me, stab me? What? Well, no, but we're leaning towards shooting or stabbing. All right. It's about 8 o'clock at night now. Okay. So I'm there till midnight, and they haven't figured out how they're going to kill me. So finally they said, we're going to do it with a knife. I said, okay, you have a retractable knife, right? Oh, yeah, the blade should retract. Yeah, that's a good idea, Ron. Yeah, well, Greg, that's pretty good. So I go to the actress and I say, okay, now, Don, when you stab me, you pretend to push the knife into me. You don't really put any force when you do it. Because even a retractable knife, it'll hurt if you hit somebody with it. I said, so you understand this? You've done this before? Oh, yeah, we'll be okay. So we practice it. We're doing the scene, and this child comes at me and hits me with this retractable knife. Bang, 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 bang. I said, no. Slow down. We have to try this again, Greg. Now, while we're at her taking her time and hitting me gently, how are we going to show the blood? Oh, yeah, blood. Yeah, we're going to do that. Huh. I said, so you have a blood bag, bag underneath, so when she does that, the blood. No. Well, how are we going to do the blood, Greg? You're going to throw it at me off screen, off the frame? So they come around about 2 a.m. now, and they figured out how they're going to do the blood when she stabs me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know an exterminator's spray gun thing they use, the exterminators? Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. They filled that with blood. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so out of the frame, this lunatic is squirting me with blood. Okay. As she hits me, he's squirting. Now he's squirting, and he's squirting, and he's squirting, and he's squirting. It's in my ears. It's in my nose. It's in my eyes. I can't see anything. And they keep squirting and squirting and squirting. And Greg is sitting there with his Alfred Hitchcock face, smirking. And I see him smirking off the camera. He's enjoying this. Okay. And I'm thinking to myself, when they stop filming this, I'm going to get him. And so that's what they did. We finished the film, and I was soaked from head to toe in tomato juice or whatever the hell it was. And Gregory is with his smile. He thought it was funny. So I said, the next movie we do, I'm going to get you back with this. I haven't got him back yet, but I will.
Did the scene turn out good?
Well, yeah. If you listen to Joe Williamson, who's kind enough to set up this interview, Joe Williamson Management, Joe thought it was great. Everybody thinks it's great except me. Greg liked it.
You just remember what you had to go through, that's why.
Exactly.
Okay, now tell us about the Buffalo Soldiers. Show us your jacket.
Yeah. Well, the Buffalo Soldiers were enacted by Congress after the Civil War in 1866. And Congress enacted to have 4 black soldiers to tame the West. Because after the Civil War, then came the Indian Wars. And somebody had to go out there and build the roads and escort the pioneers and fight the Indians and fight the Mexicans and fight the bad guys and okay. Cowboys and gangsters and whatever. And that was the Buffalo Soldiers. And they got their name Buffalo Soldiers because when they did confront the Indians gave them that name because their fighting spirit was like a buffalo. And their hair was woolly like a buffalo. And that's where the name came from.
Wow, okay.
So I work in the Southern Nevada Buffalo Soldiers. I'm the information public officer for that. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. Well,
Yeah.
you must be really proud of that.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing that. So we do all the parades, and we're the horse cavalry, and we go to schools and educate children on history.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, now our audience will know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I know that you studied with certain people to learn producing. I know I'm skipping around, but Ron's just done so many things. Yeah. Okay, so tell us about who you studied with to learn about producing.
Well, for those of you who are younger than 40, you'd have to go back and research these people because they were the Steven Spielbergs of their time. One of them was Joseph E. Levine, who did the big war movies with a cast of 100 stars and stuff. The other guy was Otto Preminger. Mm-hmm. And the film course was about executive producing. What do you do when the film is in the can? It's one thing to make the movie, but now you have to sell it and get paid. And that's where a lot of filmmakers fall short. They have movies in there sitting on the shelf. They don't know how to get them distributed and sold and so on. So there was only 60 people in this class. It would cost thousands of dollars way back then. Mm-hmm. And it went on for 2 years. And they told us everything they could tell us that we should not be in the business. Just don't do it. None of you 60 ever going to make a movie. And you can't do it the way we did it. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I paid these guys thousands of dollars to find out how to do it, not how I can't do it.
Okay.
Anyway, and they were just telling us the pitfalls of it, and how it all works. Just to give you a background of who these guys were, Joseph E. Levine said to us, I can go to a bank and say, I'm Joseph E. Levine and I'm going to make a movie and I need $5 million, and walk out with a check, because he had the reputation and so on. And he said, when I was in the bank, they would say, okay, well, who's in the movie and how, And he said, well, I got Paul Newman, I got Robert Redford, I got James Dean, whoever, a host, like, it's one of those movies where you see at the bottom of the poster a string of stars, like 30 people, right?
Okay.
And he said, then I went home, and then I called the stars to see if they wanted to be in a movie. He said, I didn't have anybody. And that's what you guys can't do. So that's what we're telling you. You can't do what we did. Another guy was named Frank Perry. He told us the most horrible story. He said, at the end of this story, if you still think you can make a movie, you can. But I'm going to tell you, by the end of this story, all of you sitting here are going to say, I'll never make a movie. And then he told us the story, which I'm not going to tell you now. It's a long one. I'll tell you another interview, but what he told us. And that story helped me continue on. Because I knew if I ran into what he said, that I'd have to find a way to get through it.
Oh, okay.
Because it was horrific. And if you guys out there think you can make a movie, you might be able to, but then you got to sell it. And the thing you have to go through to make it, you have to have nerves of steel, honestly. So in this town, in Hollywood, it doesn't matter how bad your movie is. Nobody starts out to make a bad movie. If it comes out that way, it comes out that way for various reasons. But just the fact that you made a movie from beginning to end puts you in the player's field, because everybody here knows how hard it is, and many people can't do it.
Tell us about Hunter. Now, how did that come? How did you get the idea to write the screenplay?
Okay, here's what happened. One of my clients that I write scripts for, right? I mentioned I write scripts for people, and I've done it all over the world for people. And I said to him, well, what are you going to do with the script? You're going to most people don't know what to do with it. How are you going to get studios are not going to take a script unsolicited. You have to have a lawyer or an attorney, a lawyer or a literary agent submit the script for you, because studios cannot take stuff off the street that they don't know, because they may have scripts already there that are similar to yours. And just the fact that you sent them your script, it's a conflict with what they may already have. And then you can say, well, I sent them to Warner Brothers and they stole my story. No, we didn't steal it. We have another one. So therefore, when you send it from the street, they just throw it in the trash can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's really hard to get anything made. But being an independent producer and a writer, I said to my friend, well, listen, let's make the movie. We can get some money. It doesn't cost as much as it used to because of technology. And he said, okay. And he said, well, what's the story about? He says, well, how about a girl from Tennessee who goes around killing people? And I went, oh my God. Okay. Now, what's funny about that is he's from a foreign country. I don't know what he's doing in Tennessee or how he even got it.
Why would you pick Tennessee?
I don't know where he got that from. So I said, okay, well, send me some ideas, whatever. And I think him and his brother sent me like a half a page of stuff. And I thought, oh, well, we can do it this one. I wanted to find a way to make a film to inspire people, to give them something to think about, not just cops and robbers where somebody, is injured and so on and shot. And so that's what I had to do. I had to come up with something that was different, powerful, and send some information of how to deal with life. So the Hunter, the cop I play, is a guy who's tormented and trying to find his way to go through a corrupt police system, go through life with his own demons, and come out the other side as a decent person. So that's how the story evolved, and we made all that. And then I thought, well, should I really try Gregory Hatanaka again? From Mad Cowgirl? And I thought, oh, yeah, I'll call him up. And so I called Greg and said, hey, Greg, you want to make a movie? And that's how we got together for a second time. Finally, 10 years later, and here we are.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
So we'll do Hunter Part 2 after this, if Greg's still alive when I get my hands on him.
Well, you're really happy with how the film turned out, right?
It did turn out great, and we had some great people in it. George Lazenby, who was James Bond after Sean Connery, and he did a film called Her Majesty's Secret Service. Now, talk about crazy. George is not well either. And George is from Australia, so I already knew those crazy people. And George tells the most funny story how he got to be James Bond. You won't believe it. I told him to write a book about it, but we'll see if he does that. But he did tell us a little bit. I saw him on an interview on Eat Channel or something, and he did say that he didn't know a damn thing about acting, but he got the movie. True story.
Oh, just because he looked like James Bond then?
He looked great, and he lied his way through the audition process. He'd never taken an acting lesson in his life. He didn't want to act. He was a model, making a lot of money and being around girls. That's what he wanted to do.
Okay.
And he didn't care about James Bond, but it fell in his lap.
Wow.
Then we have Christine DeBelle, who was Jackie Chan's leading lady, I believe, in The Big Brawl, Jackie Chan's first movie. Yeah. And then there's Laurie Landon, and she's been in a lot of comedies. She's done it. She does comedy and drama equally well. I like her a
Yeah,
lot.
she's beautiful.
Then there's Magda Marcelli. She's new to the scene, but she did a great job there.
Okay, so it's a spiritual story. You have to work through your demons, and then you come out okay on the other side. Is there more about the plot that you can give me?
I won't tell you the ending if that's what you're trying to get out of me.
No, I don't want to spoil it for people because I mean, I know it's a fantastic movie. It's gotten great reviews.
Has it? Oh, that's nice to hear. It just came out December 1st, and we're here at, where are we? January, the middle of January. So it's new, folks. Go and get it.
Yeah. Where can they get it?
It's on Amazon.com. You can download it or stream it or purchase it. It's in Walmarts across the United States, in I think every state in Walmart. It's on iTunes, and I believe on some cable stations it's on demand, from what I remember.
Wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Joe Williamson is out promoting it, so you know that it's going to be all over. And it really is a great film because I've seen the reviews, and Joe says what he thinks.
He does, huh? Yeah.
And he loves it.
Well, that's it. That's good. Is he a friend of Gregory Hatanaka's?
Yes.
Oh, my.
Actually, he's my manager. I met him through Samurai Cop 2.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Well, yes, you were in Samurai Cop 2. I hear great things about you.
Well, I was really lucky to be in a scene with Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, that's
So,
fantastic.
yeah.
Did you kill anybody? Shoot anybody?
No, but he showed me how to use a sword.
Did Greg shoot any blood at you?
No, it was kind of rushed at the end, like you were talking about. So I just got out there. I think my name got changed, but I mean, it was wonderful because they used a 35 millimeter film in my scene. I mean, I really lucked out.
Wow, that's fantastic. Just for you to follow, the guy Gregory Hatanaka, the nutcase I'm telling you about, the director, who did Hunter with me, has also just finished a movie called Samurai Cop, in which Donna's in. So we work with the same guy.
Yeah, and he's fantastic. So go and get Samurai Cop 2. It just was released. Okay, well, great. This has been a wonderful interview, and you are fascinating.
Well, thank you. I think she's fascinating too, no? Yes? What we're doing next is another movie called Las Vegas, Vietnam. So we're in production on that now. In fact, if you wanted to, I can take you over to meet my partner who's doing Las Vegas, Vietnam with me.
Yes, I would love
Her name
to.
is Tina Lee.
Yeah, and how did you meet Tina?
We met some time ago through a networking internet business site. And then we decided to do some projects together. And I'll tell you about that when we're with Tina. I'll tell you what she got me into.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she got me in a pickle too.
Okay, I can't wait. Okay, thank you.